Over half the country lives in a state where cannabis is totally legal, and 75% of people live in states with medical programs. And everywhere else, you can pretty easily access hemp-derived alternatives like Delta-8. And with all this cannabis out in the open, more and more dogs are finding their way into their owner's stash. Reports of marijuana toxicosis in pets are up 300%, and there's been a huge increase in calls to pet poison hotlines. No one wants to put their pet in danger, right? But if your pup does happen to eat your weed, what do? Well, first of all, cats can get high too. But it's usually dogs that'll just gobble up anything within reach. Cats don't actually have the taste buds to taste sweet things, so they tend to pass on all those tasty edibles. But even the plant itself is toxic to them, so munching on the buds or the leaves can still send them into a state. Your little buddy processes marijuana much like you do. It interacts with the endocannabinoid system to have all sorts of effects on the body and mind. But a dog actually has more cannabinoid receptors in the brain than people do. So the effects of THC go kind of into overdrive and can become toxic in their system. A little bit goes a long way. And that's the problem if the pooch smells some of those cookies you've got on the counter. They won't stop at just one. They'll gobble the whole thing, and that can lead to a bad time pretty quickly. It's pretty rare for pets to die from cannabis exposure. You know, the threshold for fatality is generally pretty high, but it has been known to happen, especially if the weed came with something else that was toxic to the dog, like chocolate. So if you're worried your pet might have gobbled down on your ganja, watch out for these symptoms. They might have some trouble walking, keeping their balance, and that's the main one. In a study, 90% of dogs had trouble with that kind of coordination. They can get that glassy-eyed stare, the dilated pupils, sometimes hyperactivity is a sign, as well as drooling or vomiting. It can affect their heart rate and body temperature, and in intense cases, cause tremors and coma. And if you see any of that, the best thing you can do is to seek out a veterinarian's advice. In those more extreme cases, they can administer fluids to the dog, keep them hydrated while they wait for the drug to pass through their system. They can even administer intralipid therapy, where they infuse lipids or fat molecules through an IV, and the THC bonds to them, making them easier to eliminate from the body. They might need to induce vomiting or administer activated charcoal, which can absorb toxins in the system. But otherwise, you're just making them comfortable while the trip does what it does. Put them in a safe place. Put them where they can't hurt themselves if they get disoriented. Make sure it's warm enough to keep their body temperature stable. And get them somewhere quiet and dark to prevent overstimulation. Just let them chill out until they feel better. And all in all, the best thing you can do is keep them from getting into it in the first place. Keep your cannabis stored safely and out of your pet's reach. If you're growing your own, whether indoors or outdoors, make sure it's somewhere your pets can't get into. And be careful with CBD as well. CBD is not toxic for dogs like THC is. In fact, it's been shown to do a lot of good things, from helping with arthritis pain and anxiety to cancer treatment and seizures. But one funny thing that CBD does do is it inhibits a chemical in the body called cytochrome P540, which is what the body uses to metabolize most drugs. So if your pup is on other medication, it could interfere with those medications or allow it to build up in their system to toxic levels.